My self worth and I have an abusive relationship. Throughout the vast majority of my life, I always felt like I was never enough. And whether it was the way I looked or who I was, it was never easy to just accept me for being me. And holy shit, did that fuck me up. Like, I look back at myself when I was at the worst point in my life depressed, angry, suicidal, and just plain fucking numb. And it was at those lows when I realized just how much I got used to feeling like a worthless bag of trash. And the worst part about it all wasn't just about my lack of faith in myself, but rather it was the fact that it genuinely took away so much from me. Like between throwing away relationships, careers, and my self development as a whole, I was just being dragged further and further down the hole of depression that I was already so used to. And that was scary. For those of you who are new here, my name is Fire at Far, and I'm just a guy in his mid 20s who has dealt with his fair share of bullshit in life. And I made this channel to hopefully make it easier for you to navigate through yours by listening to some of the experiences that I had. So in today's video, we're going to do just that, and I'm going to be covering my journey of finding my self-worth and overcoming the inadequacy that consumed me, all the while you watch me play some Minecraft. So without further ado, let's get into this. Alright, so first things first, what I'm going to do here is make something very fucking clear to you. And that is, you're not broken beyond repair, my man, and I got faith in you. Not to say that you're not struggling or that your issues aren't valid, that's not what I'm trying to say. But rather, I'm talking about the fact that you genuinely do have what it takes to be the person that you want to be. The only issue is that you don't see it within yourself. And trust me, I 100% get it. Like, the human psyche is just straight up fucking weird. You know, the more that you believe that you are something, the more likely you are to actually embody it. Hence why having zero self-esteem is such a bitch. Every single failure, every single mistake, every fuck up just serves to consolidate your insecurities more and more until it basically becomes your day-to-day reality. And what that does to a man or woman is just straight up fucking brutal. Like, I remember this happening to me when I had my first serious heartbreak. I always was a shy and insecure dude growing up, and I struggled with my self-image incredibly heavily. So when I somehow managed to stumble into a person who gave me that self-confidence and loved the parts of myself that I hated, it was absolutely amazing. Until it wasn't, that is. Long story short, I got left for another man while she was actively with me. Talk about a gut punch. Yeah, anyways, when I already felt like I wasn't worth loving or that no one would legitimately want to be with me, it rubbed so much extra salt into that wound when I literally had my dream woman do the very thing I was so terrified of happening. In the months that followed that incident, I was just a straight up fucking mess. To be honest, I contemplated ending my life quite a bit, and by quite a bit, what I actually meant was debating it on a daily basis. Like, I got hurt to such an unbelievable level, and I couldn't fathom what life would have been like living without the anxiety that felt so ingrained in me. And the worst part about it, though, was that I actually thought that I was finally one step closer to maybe being okay with myself for once in my fucking life. And after getting a brief taste of security, it was suddenly gone, ripped away. Like, I used to always say that I would have preferred never knowing what I lost altogether at that moment, and in the years that followed, those feelings never quite went away. They continued to stick with me, and it affected almost every single facet of my life. I was now left with crippling fear of being abandoned and really thought it was inevitable with every single relationship that I got into. I found it hard to trust people at all, which effectively crippled my chances at getting close to anybody. And single handedly, my lack of self worth had spiraled me down that rabbit hole. I had zero idea on how to even remotely break out of it and recover what I lost. So, when shit was so hopeless as it was, how did I break out of it? And how can you do the same exact thing? Well, here's the first answer, man. It's learning to rely on yourself. Yeah, super broad, I know, but it's okay because I'm going to break it down for you so that implementing it is way easier. A behavior I noticed in a lot of people who had a very high level of self worth was that almost every single one of them had a high degree of confidence. And I always wondered why that was the case. What I later learned was that it was the fact that a lot of these people recognized the fact that they could rely on themselves to get out of any fucked up situation that may have arisen. It doesn't matter if that dude or girl didn't like them because guess what? They don't fucking need them. They don't need their validation. They don't need their respect. And they know for sure that they're already enough as is. And if somebody didn't respect that, then they're not the right person for them anyways. Now, I'm not telling you to just be confident because it doesn't work that way. And it feels like everyone just kind of assumes that you can turn it on with a simple flick of the switch. And after hearing just be confident so many times whenever I tried asking for advice on getting out of my comfort zone, damn near made me lose my fucking mind. I had nothing to be confident about, and guess what? If I knew how to suddenly be confident, then I wouldn't be having this issue altogether. So what I'm going to tell you instead is how to actually grow your confidence. So, first things first, like I said before, a key part of confidence alongside improving your self worth as a whole is self reliance. And the best we can go about achieving just that is through the goals that we set for ourselves. When my self confidence was at its lowest point, the single biggest contributor was my inability to find anything remotely redeeming about myself. Like, I didn't do much, had no real hobbies, and I never pushed myself outside of my comfort zone. So, after recognizing that I needed to change, I started with picking up new skills. For example, I noticed that I ate like shit all the time, so I made it a point to learn how to cook good food. I knew that I didn't like the way that I looked at all, so I started my weightlifting journey, and now I'm more confident in my body than I ever have been before. Now, let me make this clear. It doesn't always have to be practical stuff either. Like, I don't think learning how to change your car oil is only going to cure your depression, but developing yourself in the things you care about will get you a lot closer to it. For instance, I started in jujitsu even though realistically I'm probably never going to end up in a street fight. Minus that one time I tried starting Crackhead Fight Club in Baltimore, but we're not supposed to talk about that, okay? The point is, though, with picking up all these hobbies, I eventually grew more and more confident in my abilities, and I learned that I really could get good at things that I set my mind to. I just need to take those steps to do so. Also, it's important to recognize that you are going to suck ass at first, as you are with many new things that you start. You will get frustrated at the fact that you're not getting the hang of certain things, and it nearly took me 6 months of training in jujitsu before I even won my first sparring match. But as long as you focus on those small improvements along the way, the confidence will come with time. Don't set yourself up for failure by assuming you must be perfect because it's just going to crush you more and more. But yeah, after learning to rely on myself, I did feel a lot more confident, but I'd also be a liar if I said that I didn't struggle with my self worth even after that point. Did it help? Hell yeah, it did. Did it fix the problem completely? No. Which brings me to some of the other lessons I had to learn along the way. Alright, so the second biggest learning point for me was recognizing that you only ever see people's highlights most of the time. We've all been there, doom scrolling on Instagram, seeing hundreds of people infinitely more successful than us, happy, and livelier than us. Guess what? It's fake. 99% of it is just straight up fucking fake. Most of these people are just as miserable and only ever post the highlights of their life in order to project a false sense of security. It's why you see stupid ass posts about someone's partner being Jesus incarnate with how perfect they are, before they inevitably break up 2 weeks later. And even outside of social media too, people would just put on a mask in their day-to-day lives. Deep down, most of everyone will doubt themselves quite a bit. So when you're sitting there stressing out over the fact that you feel like everyone hates you or that you're incompetent and useless, you can at least take solace in the fact that the people you look up to probably have thought the same thing to themselves. Now, what can we learn from this? The biggest lesson out of that is recognizing that it's okay to feel like you don't have your shit together. Because honestly, most of us don't. We're all just figuring it out along the way, and when it really boils down to it, all we are just a bunch of stupid fucking apes on some weird ass spinning ball going mock Jesus in outer space. And whoever claims that they've got it all figured out are probably lying through their teeth. It's okay to not know what you're doing, we learn through our mistakes, and that's the cool thing about gaining life experience, man. You can only end up stronger through it. So take it easy the best you can and keep on going. Like every time I catch myself thinking, oh, I'm so far behind everybody else, or I'm such a fuck up, I always go back to that fact and remind myself that we're all on our own journeys. It's just a matter of learning from our screw ups. Just because we fuck up doesn't mean that's all we are at the end of the day, so stop treating yourself like that's all you fucking are. Because you're so much more than what you give yourself credit for, even if it doesn't always feel like it. But hey, with the second point wrapped up, I now wanted to move on to one of the last bits of advice I have for you: the self hate. I'm gonna be real, this one is super hard for me to break out of, even now, but it's imperative that we actually try to do something about it. Stop disrespecting yourself with the self deprecation. I think it's easy for us to be our own biggest critic, right? Like, how can we not? But the issue with it is that the more we hyperfixate on our flaws, the worse that we're gonna feel. Like, I've lost count of the amount of times I called myself a useless idiot, or told myself that I never amount to anything because that's what I genuinely believed. And it's weird to think about. We call ourselves names all the time, but when somebody else does, we feel hurt or angry whenever we hear it, even though we do it to ourselves every single fucking day. So why do we do the same for ourselves? Like my girlfriend, for instance, struggles with this heavily, and when she feels super down, she'll call herself useless or a shitty partner. And every time I hear it, it just hurts me because she's genuinely one of the most beautiful people I've ever met, even if she doesn't always feel that way. But even then, whenever it happens, I always ask her, would you call me those things if I made the same exact mistake? The answer is always a resounding no. It's like we get so used to abusing ourselves that we forget that we're human at the end of the day, and we just convince ourselves that we're just monsters. Like, you deserve to be loved, so start it within, even if it feels like you're just bullshitting yourself most of the time. At the end of the day, it's infinitely better than slowly convincing yourself that you are the toxic things you say you are. But hey, this brings me to the end of the video. Just to recap everything we talked about here, the ways I improved my self worth was by learning to rely on myself and understanding that we're all on our own journeys in life and that it's okay to not have everything sorted out. And lastly, it was also by learning to not verbally abuse myself every single fucking day, even though I'm still working on that a little bit. But I do feel much better. Just because some of these things may be hard to do in the moment doesn't mean that they're impossible. I know that firsthand, and I also know that you got this, man. I do believe in you, and I know you have what it takes. So I'll see you in the next upload. I love you all, and until next time, take care, my man.